is the best team in this area? It's always a great argument. A lot of folks might say Brennan, and with good reason, but it's a healthy discussion. As for which of the top teams comes with the best storyline, also a good discussion, but we think we might have found the answer. With every lyric they belt out comes maybe some uncertainty as to what word comes next. Doesn't matter. What does is that the Sam Houston football players can sing their alma mater with pride these days. For the last 2 months, each post-game rendition has looked and sounded just like this.
Felt good to win. Last year when the song came on, nobody would ever sing it. Everybody had their heads down, but now winning, everybody's now hyped and pumped. Now everybody's singing it.
It's a great feeling. You get to hear people cheering for you finally, and then the emotion isn't so down no more. Everybody's happy on the sideline cheering.
The Hurricanes went 8-2 this regular season, an exact turnaround from last year. 2 years ago, they went 0-10. Community support, which often lagged in the past, has grown with every one of their 8 straight wins.
When we go out to the games on Friday night and you see the crowd getting bigger and bigger, it's like, man, we're doing something for the community, giving them something to do on Friday nights, getting them out of trouble.
It is a harsh reality for the Sam Houston community, the potential for trouble, seemingly, around most corners. The Hurricane football players among the first to feel it.
If it weren't for football right now, I'd probably maybe be juvenile, jail, on the streets, and maybe possibly deceased, because it's a lot of things that's happening on the streets that is getting worse for, especially around our age, because that's when they start falling with the drug abuse, the gang related, and then I'm just grateful.
Grateful because while Dwayne Brown hasn't lived a charmed life by any means, he's reminded daily of struggles bigger than his. Never more clear than when he met a fellow Sam Houston football player who was homeless.
He actually lived on the streets or whatever, and that was like, whoa, like I had never met somebody that came to school every day, worked his tail off at practice, and actually play football that lives on the streets.
Dwayne and his family took in that young man, who was a junior at the time, for 3 to 4 months by Dwayne's estimation. That was 2 years ago, right around when Dwayne was at a crossroads with his football playing days.
My freshman year, we had a situation to where I wanted to actually quit because I was getting punished after practice for something I didn't do, and I actually walked off the field. But before I walked out, 2 other coaches, they had talked to me, and they were just saying, think about the mistake that you're making.
Head coach Gary Green, another reason he decided not to quit. To hear Dwayne and his teammates, Coach Green is much more than just that.
The things that he teaches us and tells us, the strategies, and what he does for us is just a great model. Actually, and another father figure for a lot of kids that don't have the father figure in their life.
I used to get in trouble, like do little things here, but ever since with Coach Green, well, we have to pay him when we get in trouble, so that helped me a lot.
How do you pay him back?
Punishment, whatever he wants you to do.
What's the worst punishment you've ever had to go through?
Law grows. I can't stand them. So that's why I don't get in trouble no more, just for that one.
I lost my grandma. It was like one day she was just healthy and everything, and the next day she got sick, and a couple months later she passed away. And that hit me kind of hard, but she was important to me. And then he was there and he talked to me, and he got me back and made me feel more comfortable.
One thing I do, I tell my kids I love them, and boys, especially inner city boys, they don't hear that sometimes from moms, but they don't hear it from dads or men. And so I tell them, they'll tell you right now, Coach Green loves us. And they believe that, and because they believe that, I can get them to do things that a lot of people can't get them to do. And I still lose quite a few of them. And it hurts, but at the same time, there are a lot of them that are beginning to, get it right.
Like Gary Green did, a Sam Houston alum. Green went on to star at Baylor before making 5 All-Pro teams as an NFL cornerback. A decade after retiring as a player, he started coaching locally in the mid-90s. The majority of his time spent as an assistant at Madison.
You know, I was in Northeast District for a long time trying to be a head coach, and I said, Lord, you know, hey, I want to be a head coach. I think I'm ready for it. Put me where I'm needed most. Then when I got over here, I was like, oh my God, Lord, is this really? Because I'm needed.
His players agree, though they could do without stories from his glory days.
Almost every day. We make a mistake, he brings up what he did back in the day, and we just go, oh, Coach Green, and he just starts laughing.
I don't think he wasn't that good, though. He wasn't all that.
He was actually pretty good.
Yeah, just had to make sure he went right there by me.
Not for me, they don't. Not for me.
They said they do from
Oh,
hear
no.
it every day from you.
Oh,
That's
no.
what they said.
No, not well. You know, at the end, sometimes we're talking about it, and I'll say, you know, I've done this and that and that and that. But you know, I always try to tie it to something.
Not only through words, but through actions.
He's out there doing a little extra work, and now he got to get his peanut butter. Come on, boy, hurry up.
Excuse me, Coach Green. I'm gonna commit to North Texas. So,
Hurry up, Aaron.
so I'm on the camera. I commit to North Texas.
They ain't even talking to you yet.
In part 2 of our feature on Sam Houston, we look at the unique ways Coach Green and his staff have not only kept this program winning, but moving forward.
Okay, hop in. There are a lot of kids here that society has just thrown away. They don't expect anything from them. They've been hearing that since they were born, that you will never amount to anything, that you're no good, you're this and that.
Good job.
We throw out positives all the time. I don't care how bad your situation is, we always try to direct them to something that's going to be positive, something that keeps them striving to do better.
Time for our High School to the Max feature story. Part 2 of our look at the Sam Houston football team. Part 1, which is on Fox San Antonio now, takes us through the tough circumstances the Hurricanes and their community have to overcome just to get on the field. Tonight, a look at what they've got to do as soon as they step off the field and the vital role their head coach plays. As one practice ends, another type of practice begins. From exercise to an exercise of necessity.
Hey, guys, use this jelly that was in the refrigerator first.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a kid favorite, a snack, and for some of these young men, dinner.
A lot of kids that actually don't go home to a cooked meal. Maybe their family is not, fortunate enough.
When the sandwiches are put out, you know this is dinner. I better eat maybe 3 tonight or whatever because this is going to be dinner.
Maybe.
That's accurate to say? It's a world foreign to so many, even some from the neighborhood, like head coach Gary Green, who graduated from Sam Houston before eventually starring in the NFL. Green's first opportunity as a head coach brought him back to his alma mater in 2007.
When I first got here, I had about 60 kids out there, the varsity kids, and I said, how many of you guys out here got fathers at home? Raise your hand. And 3 hands went up. And that's what kind of just floored me then, because I knew that there weren't a lot, but I thought there was some. And most of the kids that never knew their father, never knew him, or they know him and he's in the prison, or he died violently in one way or another.
It's a gap Gary Green works every day to bridge.
Come on back.
Tavion Jones takes sandwich cleanup duty on this particular evening, and while doing so, reflects on the coach, who's come to mean so much more.
He's a father I never had. I never had a father. Don't need him. So all I need is that man in there. He got my back. He has his back. He has his back, and he has his back.
And we got his back.
He's gonna stand up for me, and he's gonna stand up for us when we need him.
They're like my kids, and my kids don't go hungry.
They're also not allowed to give up on their dreams. As Tavion continues to clean up the mess, he shares more thoughts on the mess that surrounds his community.
We all want to go to college. Everybody wants to make it. Everybody want to make it, like, as far as getting out of the ghetto, getting good jobs.
For now, getting off campus will do. The peanut butter, jelly, and bread back in Coach's office Green starts walking out the door, only to find not all of his players have eaten what might be their last meal of the day.
Peanut butter jelly.
Now see you out there, boy.
Getting in that extra work. You like that, Coach Green? Say, Coach Green.
Boy, you better hurry
I ain't got
up.
no food at home.
Hurry.
It'll be another 20 minutes before Gary Green starts heading home.
Yeah, down
The
there.
1 hour after that is when he'll actually get to his house.
Would it be a good assumption that at one point or another, every single kid in the program, varsity, JV, freshman, has gotten a ride home from Coach Green?
I'll say pretty much almost everyone, if not close to everyone.
At least one time.
Yes, at least one time.
Some several times.
Yes,
and some a lot of times.
Yes, sir.
There are a group of kids that are right outside the door and they wait for me. And I take them home every day. There have been times, I've got a Yukon XL, I can carry up to 9 at one time. There have been several days where I made 2 trips because kids needed a ride, and I said, hey, look, I'll be right back, and half an hour back, I'll come back and take the last 4 home. I cannot go home knowing that a kid needs a ride. Just can't do it.
It's been that way since Green arrived. Just about every fall weeknight over the course of 7 years, hundreds of young men have been given a ride home, including Quincy Russell, a 2011 graduate and former U.S. Army All-American who spent last season and the first couple of games this year at Oklahoma.
If it was late at night, I didn't worry because if he was here at the school, I knew he wasn't, they wasn't going to let him come home by himself. They were going to bring him home and make sure he was at home.
Important for even a football player who stands 6'4", 300 pounds. Because, as Clarice Russell, who works at Sam Houston, will tell you, sometimes there is no matching the size of the danger that lurks around the area.
I've seen some things. I knew that one of the boys that on his way home, they beat him up and killed him for his shoes right across the street from Sam Houston there, and it was like, oh my God.
Horrific, sad. It is a reality the Sam Houston football players have to avoid on both ends.
Do you get the sense that if it wasn't for football and Coach Green, a lot of kids on your team might be down that road that leads to trouble?
A lot of kids would be, because in school they may get in trouble a little bit here and there with football, and without football they may be in jail.
Just the number of kids that do not have structure. A lot of them have criminal records. They've shoplifting or things like that, and sometimes just because they're hungry.
Seeing what I've seen, and I'm just only 16 years old, I don't want that life, because it's a lot of people that say, oh, I could have, I would have, I should have did that. I don't want to be those wanna, coulda, should have. I want to be the person that says, I have done it.
Precisely why Gary Green remains a constant for a program, a school, a community.
He always waits for me up in the front.
That faces so much uncertainty
Okay, hop
every
in.
day.
The hardest thing for me to decide is when to cut a kid off and when not to. Because as long as that kid is trying, I'm going to continue to try. But if we see that a kid is just not going to come around, that's the hardest thing for me to do, is to cut the kid out of athletics, because I know that that kid's chances of being something positive in life has just been cut off.
He don't know, but he makes our life a little easier at school. It makes us even more grateful that we have a coach and a father figure like him.
Every time I call him, he's there for me. So he's my ride to school, he's my coach, he's my father, he's everything everything I've ever wanted. So him being there for us, that's all we need right there. All we need is him, and that's it. He inspires us to be better.